Crowd out here. This is your record, because no matter where I go, it's with tremendous people, people that love the country, and the folks in Iowa have been amazing to me. They've been amazing. I'm even leading in all of the polls in Iowa now. Some big ones are coming out, I guess, this afternoon, but they don't even matter anymore, to be honest, because we're so close to the end. What difference does it make? We can't really talk about polls now. We have to just sort of wait and see what happens, right? Monday. Hey, by the way, it's DonaldJTrump.com. You'll find out exactly where you caucus. Who knows where they're caucusing right now? Most people? Who doesn't know? Good. That's so good. All right, DonaldJTrump.com. You'll find out for the few. So most of you actually know, right? Because, we began this journey. It's a journey. We did it together. And it's been an amazing experience for me. I had no idea. Nobody thought this was going to turn out this way. And I think it's turning out maybe even better. There's a theory, we're leading in the polls, but there's a theory we could do even better than the polls. Some people said, well, maybe, he's got some tough stances on immigration and various other things that everybody agrees with. But when a pollster calls up and asks those questions, they might not want to talk about it, but when they go down there, they're going to say, I want that, but I'm not going to tell anybody, right? So we could even do better. But it's been an amazing period of time for me, and, we have an amazing country. We have an incredible country, but we have a country that's going totally, really. It's going in a totally wrong direction. If you look at trade, just take a look at the Iran deal. I talk about it all the time because it's inconceivable that somebody could have made a deal like that. It's inconceivable. And that we never walked away from the table. They're mocking us. They're scorning us. Look, even with Fox, what I did, I walked away from the debate. And by the way, raised $6 million for the veterans. Okay. And in all fairness, Fox has been great, but it was a little bit tough to go back. We created something the other day that was amazing, and in 1 hour, we raised $6 million for the veterans. Think of that, 1 hour. And we had to turn away thousands of people. We had a wonderful thing at Drake, wonderful, auditorium, but it held like 800 people. We turned away thousands and thousands of people, and so there's something going on. There's something going on. I feel badly that we should have gotten a bigger place, but who knows, right? Who knows? But the beautiful thing is you have to take a stand. I wanted to be in that debate so badly, but you have to take a stand at some point. They can't be mocking you and taunting. In football they call it taunting. You get a penalty for taunting. So they were taunting, and I said, listen, I'm not going to do that. Why should I do that? If I'm being taunted, why should I do that? And we were working on different deals where maybe they put up money for the veterans. I'm only interested in putting up money for the veterans. And it just worked that it got too late. And then this event that we had took on a life of its own. It was so amazing what took place. And we had one young soldier get up, and he spoke for 10 or 15 minutes, and he came back. It was, no problems when he came back, 3 tours of duty, and he came back and he was missing one leg, and he talked about his life and how tough it was when he came back and how he's acclimated, and it was an amazing thing. It was actually, I don't know how many people heard it, but it was an amazing story from a great young man. So we're helping a lot of people, and we have to help our vets. I always talk about that. We're going to build our military so strong, so powerful, so good, hopefully never use it, hopefully never have to use it. But right now our military's in bad shape. One of the soldiers came back and told me, the son of a friend of mine, said, Mr. Trump, what's so sad to me is that they have better equipment than we do. I said, what do you mean? We have the best equipment. No, they take it away. We give it to our so-called, whoever we're fighting with, who we don't even know who they are, Mr. Trump. He's going, we don't even know who these people are. Like, if you look at Syria, if you look at, no matter where you look, we're giving equipment to people that we have no ideas, and they always have these wonderful names, the so-and-so and the brigades, the wonderful brigade here, and they come up with these names. We have no idea. We're giving hundreds of millions of dollars worth of equipment away. And he said, one bullet gets fired in the air, they run, and the enemy takes over the equipment. And I read and I saw this and I never believed it, but it turned out to be true. 2,300 Humvees, all armor plated, the best in the world. And you know, we have wounded warriors. We have people without arms, without legs, because they didn't have that kind of vehicle. And they didn't have the armor plate. And all of this equipment was gone. 2,300 Humvees cost a fortune. I don't even know, how do you get that many over there? I mean, think of it. How do you get them over? When I heard 2,300, I always say it can't be that many. But it is, and it was. And they have that, and we have stuff that's unprotected and nothing by comparison. So this young man was complaining, and he said the people are so incredible that are in the armed services, but the equipment that we have is not what it's supposed to be, because so much of the best equipment goes to our allies, our so-called allies, our partners, that we have no idea why they're partners or where they're partners or what they're fighting for. We have no idea when they get in, if they ever get in. Are they going to be worse than Saddam Hussein was? Are they going to be worse than Gaddafi? Are they going to be worse than some of these guys that we got out? You know, all this money, we get them out, and you end up with what? A disaster and a total destabilization of the Middle East. And we're spending trillions and trillions of dollars. And I mean, I have to tell you, I've gotten a lot of points lately, especially for vision. You know, you should get, if you're running for president, you should get points for vision, because vision means something. It means you're doing right. And if you look at Hillary Clinton, she was all for going into the war in Iraq. And in 2003, 2004, even though I wasn't a politician, I'm a job creator. That's what I do. I build, and I love to build, and I love to do what I do. And I built a great business, a fantastic business, which is the kind of thinking we need here. That's what we need. Because what we're doing with the money we are losing, with the trade deals we're making, with the military, with the whole thing, is just out of control. And you know, it's just, no matter where you go, and no matter how you do it, and no matter what transaction you look at that we make, they're no good. They're no good. And when I look at China as an example, China is to me a great example, because that's the biggest of them all. They're all bad. We don't make any good deals. When was the last time, you know, I tell people, and I always ask people, when was the last time we won? Like, did we win on trade? Or did we knock the hell out of ISIS? Which we will, by the way. We will knock their asses off. I mean, we will. But we have to. We have to. Look, we shouldn't have been in Iraq, and I said it. We shouldn't have been there. But once we were, we have to, whatever. And it was a decision because, and I said, in 2003, 2004, it was in Reuters. Don't go in. And I don't even know why they had it, because I'm, again, being a businessman, why are they going to say, what do I have to do with Iraq, right? But I said, don't do it. You're going to destabilize the Middle East. Iran's going to take over, and others, but Iran's going to take over the oil. They have the second largest oil reserves in the world, in Iraq. So I said, don't do it. You're going to destabilize the Middle East. You know, forever, these two countries, Iraq, Iran, different names, different times, but forever they're fighting like this. They go 10 feet one way, 10 feet the other way, they rest, 10 feet. This is all they do is fight, okay? We want to rebuild our country. So I said, if you knock out one of those two countries, now in this case Iraq, then the other country is going to just take over. That's what happened. They took over. And as sure as you're sitting there and you people are standing, and thank you for that sign, so nice. Look at that beautiful sign. Thank you very much, Don. So nice. I appreciate it, both of them. But as sure as you're sitting here and standing here, I will tell you, it's just horrible that Iran is now taking over Iraq. So we spent $2 trillion, if you think of it. Now, I'm looking at it from our country standpoint, because we have to go on and we have to go forward. We just don't want to be critics. But we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives are lost. We got nothing. We got nothing. We have absolutely nothing. And what do we get? Iran is now taking over Iraq. Now, second largest oil reserves in the world. Think of it. We make a deal. We give them $150 billion. It's going to lead to nuclear proliferation. It's a terrible deal in every way. We only got our prisoners back after the money passed, so we paid $150 billion. $150 billion for the 4 prisoners. Actually, there's a 5th, but he's gone someplace. Nobody knows where. He's someplace in Iran, they think. They don't even know. But we get our prisoners back, $150 billion, and it should have never been that way. We should have had those prisoners back years ago, and we should have never dealt unless we had them back, and we should have never given them $150 billion. And now they're going, and you know where they're spending? You see it, you read it. They're going to spend the money, and they're spending it in Europe. They went and ordered 118 jets from, he knows, right? 118 jets from Euro, not from Boeing, in other words. They're buying their jets in Europe. They're buying missiles in Russia. They're buying many things in Italy. They're spending their money all over the place except for one place, us. They're not spending their money here, okay? They're not spending their money here. They went and bought Airbuses instead of Boeings, and a lot of them. And the saddest thing, and it's hard to conceive that deal went through, hard to conceive. They were taunting us. You talk about taunting. They were taunting us like I've never seen before. They were saying that we were dummies, our negotiators were dummies, we didn't know what we were doing, they were dancing in the streets, and the deal wasn't done. If somebody does that with me, I say, I'm not making a deal with these people. What are they, crazy? Right? They're dancing in the streets. You remember that? Calling Kerry an idiot, and we're burning our flag, and we go back and keep negotiating. We never once walked. If you read The Art of the Deal, it talks about walking if you have to. And I just told another group, I landed, I met, we had we're going to have 50, 60 people at the airport. There were, I don't know, it looked like way over 1,000 people just a little while ago. Were you there? You should have been there. It would have been a nice sight. But I just told them, I said, it's incredible, when you look at that deal, just that specific deal, how if we had people that knew what they were doing, the saddest thing, if I win, I go in, but we're never getting 150 billion back because it's gone. As of now, it's gone. By the way, what else did they do? The money's getting ready to pass, and they captured 7 sailors, and they put them down in the begging position where they're on their hands and knees, and their hands are up, and they got guns to their head. And by the way, the guy doing the talking was a rough guy, not a good guy. This was not a friendly voice. You heard that. He was a nasty guy. And instead of fixing their boat and saying, good luck, get out of here, they bring them onto land, and they hold them up, and they do what they did, and it was a disgrace. And it was totally disrespectful and horrible. And frankly, if we weren't giving them the $150 billion, in a million years, those people wouldn't have gotten out. They got out because, look, they're smart. They're saying, what are we going to do, keep these 10 people and not get, because the money was passing 2 days later. In fact, it was actually the following day. So they let them go, but they were rough and nasty and no good and disrespect. And we're going to be respected again, folks, and we're going to make great deals. We're going to make great deals. We're not going to make these deals anymore. We're not going to make them anymore. It's so sad, when you see it. I mean, we have this country, and it's a great place, and we love the people. The people that I love, I go to these rallies, and it's incredible. And they say the Trump people are the most loyal people. They said, you read that, it's true. They say, I got to talk to this man. See what you don't understand. You actually have the best seats, but for becoming famous, see all the cameras, they have the best seat. But we all have good seats. What difference does it make? But I'll tell you what, the Trump people, the polls have always said, the Trump people, I think like 68, 69, would never change their mind. And you're like in the low 90s for almost never. I mean, 69 were never under any circumstance. I could get up here now and start screaming, ranting, raving. You'd say, boy, he's terrible, but we're still with him, right? And then there's a huge percentage that would practically never, and I get into like the 90s, and other people are like 12% stuff. So we have I've just fallen in love with so many people, so many incredible people. And in Iowa, and by the way, in New Hampshire, South Carolina, you look at every place we go, it's just amazing people. Florida, we just came out 48%, a poll, 48%. We have a sitting senator who's running. You have a sitting senator, Rubio, he's running. He's at 11. I'm at 48. And you have a guy named Bush. You have a guy he was a governor, low energy, very low energy, extraordinarily low energy. He's got high energy for one thing, spending money. Did you see the guy? They spent like $100 and some odd million, about 12 of it against me. The only reason I bring him up, and I bring him up because it's like, look, how ridiculous. He has $128 million. He spent millions and millions on negative ads on me. My polls went up. I don't know. They couldn't have been very good ads, I guess. Every week I go up, I say, well, that's a terrible ad. I hate that ad. That's not going to be good for me. And the next day it comes up, Donald Trump went up 7 points this week. I said, does anybody watch television anymore? It's crazy. But, if you think about it, here's a guy, Bush, who's, he's a nice guy, I would imagine, everything. But he put together a fund of donors and special interests and lobbyists. In other words, people that, want something. These are not people that are the most wonderful people. I used to be one of them. I used to give to everybody. I gave to everybody. I gave to everybody. I was a businessman. One of the magazines said, world-class businessman. You got to give to everybody. You're friendly with everybody. And you get along with everybody, and that's important. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you think he's got $128 million now, spent close to 100, I guess. He's down to $100 million he spent. And he's down at 2 or 3% here, 2 or 3%. And we're right up through the sky. We're number one, and we spent the least of anybody, right? So we're number one. And by the way, one thing. I'm self-funding. I put up my own money. I'm not taking all this. It's funny. It's funny because you know what that means. This group, first of all, you got plenty of wealthy people. This was not the easiest place to get to. I had to drive an hour and 30 minutes. I said, do you think we could have found an airport a little bit closer than this? And they said, your plane is too big. So it's one of those problems. So I don't care. But it was really, it was amazing because I'm looking at, here's Bush spending all of this money is down here. I'm spending very, very little money and I'm up here. And we're number one by far. And he's down at, just about last. And I said, that's what we should have for our country, where we spend the least and we have the best product. If you think about it, well, right? You think. So education is very important. We spend for education more than any other country in the world by far. And yet we're number 28. 28. That means there are 27 countries, some of them like third world, that are ahead of us in education. Now, wouldn't it be nice if we spent less money than anybody and we had the best and we were number one? Number one's Norway, Sweden, China. Yeah. Norway, Sweden, China. Learn from them. They do a great job. Norway, Sweden, China. I mean, we have different problems than they have, perhaps, but those are the top three, I guess. And they spend much less money than us. But if you think, wouldn't it be so great? So we spend the most, we have the worst, and it's going to change. We're going to get rid of Common Core, which is a disaster. We're going to create borders, and the borders are going to be real borders. So we're not going to be phony. And we are going to build a wall, right? We're going to build a wall. And who's going to pay for the wall? Mexico. Everyone knows. When you tell the politicians, actually I've become friendly with a couple of them, and they come up and say, well, a couple out of 16, 17 just it's not that good, right? But actually there's some nice people. And they come up, Don, what do you mean, but Mexico's going to pay? They're not. I said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Only a businessman would understand this. And they said, well, you're not going to get Mexico to pay. I said, of course I am, 100%. You know why we're going to pay? Because they make a fortune with us. What they make with us each year is so much more than what we're talking about for a prefab wall that's going to go up 44 feet. I'll get the largest plank. These are serious. These are great walls. I got to make it beautiful because it's going to someday probably be named Trump. They'll name it after me. The walls. Then first they say, you'll never build a wall. That's too tough to build a wall. I said, really? 2,000 years ago, China built a wall that's 13,000 miles long, the Great Wall of China. And we can't do it today? We can do it so easy. I can do it. To me, that's a simple project. You use plank, prefab. Oh, I mean, give me a break. You guys know. Half of this audience knows construction. It's simple. But you do the footings and you put it up and it's going to be beautiful. You put a nice little design. Trump. I don't want it named after. I don't want it named after me. I just want it to work, and it will work. But, we have no walls, but the walls we have there sometimes. Did you ever see the picture where they have a wall, little wall, like maybe 8, 9 feet, and they have a little plank, and the Jeeps run over it with drugs? It's true. And then they come back with money. So we get the drugs, they get the money. No good. Not going to happen that way anymore. It's not going to happen. We're going to have a real wall. And walls work. You can ask Israel, by the way. Walls work if you do it right. If you do it right, walls work. But they do. They come up to me and they say, why do you say that? They will pay. In one form. There are five different ways of payment. So many different ways. And maybe they're going to want to save a little face so they won't pay, et cetera, et cetera. But they're going to pay. They make a fortune on us. The trade deficit with Mexico. The trade deficit with Japan. The trade deficit with Vietnam, that's a new one coming in. Can you ever think we're going to school, we're talking about Vietnam, and now all of a sudden they're knocking the hell out of us in trade. But the trade deficit with these countries is unbelievable. But the big daddy is the trade deficit with China is so $505 billion, okay, a year. How do we even survive? It's almost like, how did we survive? This has been going on for many years, by the way. This isn't like new. 300 billion, 400 billion, 200 billion, 500 billion, and it's only getting worse. And then they cut the value of their currency. You know, they knock the hell out of the value of their currency. It's the monetary devaluations. And by the way, in history, nobody has ever done it like China. Now, Japan is a close second. Japan is doing an amazing job. And Japan's a close second. So we sit with our businesses, and you can't compete with it because they play the devaluation game, and they shouldn't be allowed to play the game. And I know how to stop them, and I don't want to get into controversy, and I'm not talking about anything overly bold. All I'm saying is we have the greatest negotiators in the world, but we don't use them. We use political hacks. We use guys that gave campaign contributions, and they get these jobs. We have, like Carl Icahn, one of the great businessmen of the world, and many others. They're endorsing me. Carl endorsed me already. I'm going to use these people. They don't want money. I'm going to use these people. Now, if I send Carl or one of my other people from, Wall Street, most of them are essentially Wall Street oriented, who cares, right? And some are nice people, some aren't. I don't care if they're nice. I don't care anything. I know I'm only picking the best. I know the best. I know the overrated ones. I know the underrated ones. I know ones you never heard of that are better than all of them. But we're going to have the greatest negotiators in the world. China has. When China negotiates with us, they have people come in that are so fierce. And I love China. China is great. I sell tremendous numbers of apartments in Manhattan to people from China. I own the Bank of America building, a big chunk of it in San Francisco. I got it through China, to people from China. I have the largest bank in the world as a tenant of mine. They pay me a lot of rent from China. I love China. China's great. But their people and their negotiators and their leaders are far too smart for the people we have. And they're killing us. I always say that China, it's the single greatest theft, what China's done to our country, in the history of the world. They've taken our business, they've taken our factories, they've taken our jobs, they've taken our money, and we've rebuilt China. We have rebuilt China. It's not going to happen, folks. And we're going to get along fine with you. We don't even get along well with them. Do you ever notice these countries all rip us off and we have no relationship? We will bring it back, and we're going to get along good with them. I get along with people. I get along with everybody. And not everybody. Everybody's no good because they'll have me on tape saying everybody. They'll say, well, what about this one, this one, this one? Yeah. No, you don't get along with everybody. But we will get along with many of these countries. When Putin said, Trump is a genius, Trump is this, Trump. These people wanted me to say to Putin, we want you to take that statement back. These people that I'm running against. He called me a genius. He said I'm the leader. And they wanted me, I don't know if he meant it. Who the hell knows? I mean, don't worry about it. I cannot be seduced by that. Don't worry about it. But he said, Trump's a genius. They wanted me to demand that he take it back. Who the hell's going to take it back? Can you? No, I want him to say it a few more times so everyone knows. But when you think of it, what? And then they want me to denounce Putin. Why would I denounce him? For what? For what? It's sort of interesting. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually got along with Russia and China and all these countries? Wouldn't it be nice? So that when we have an ISIS threat and we have these threats, they can actually spend money and put money into things and knock the hell out of them all, so it's not always us, the policemen of the world, so that I can get China to go and do a number on North Korea where this maniac is building nuclear missiles all over the place, probably anyway, they think. And wouldn't it be nice, because let me tell you, China controls North Korea. Okay, just so you understand, China controls North Korea. And we have South Korea that makes a fortune. Every time you buy a television set, it comes right out of South Korea. I order thousands and thousands of sets for these big projects. I have to get them from South Korea. We don't make televisions anymore, folks. We don't make them anymore. One of the commentators said, one of these idiots that I have to deal with, political, well, yes, we do. There's a factory someplace. Well, okay. Turned out he was wrong. It's a factory where they actually put the parts together that are made someplace else, okay? That was George Will. He was saying, yes, it's a factory. There's no factory. We have nothing. We don't make what we've got to start making. Now, if you look at what happened with Boeing, when China ordered a big order, they're making them build the plants in China. What the hell is this? So how does that help us? Now they're going to build in China. You're going to end up with Boeing leaving here and leaving all of the places between South Carolina and Seattle. You'll end up having Boeings made in China 100%. So we need people that are smart. They also wanted all their trade secrets and all their engineering, and they want a whole thing. This is not like a normal negotiation, folks. Unless we get smart, we're not going to have a country left. We're not going to have a country left. But we're going to have something that's going to be incredible. So we're going to strengthen those borders. We're going to have such a strong border, and people are going to come into our country, but they're going to come into our country legally. They're going to come in legally. And you know how you can tell who's the best on the border? First of all, I started with the wall. Then about 3 days ago, I heard a certain person say, "We're going to build a wall." I said, "Whoa, where did that come from?" It's true. And it was actually Ted. But he said, "We're going to build a wall." And my wife said, "Darling, it's the first time I've heard anyone say it other than you." Believe me, they're all trying to come over. Number one, they don't know how to do it. Number two, we were going to build a wall 13, 14 years ago. They couldn't get their environmental impact statements approved. Can you believe it? This is hard to believe. Because there were snakes or toads or there's frogs or something in the way. It's true. And I always talk, in China, they're building in the South China Sea. They're building a massive military base with runways and for airplanes and everything. And you know what they're doing? The biggest excavators you've ever seen, just ripping the hell out of the sea. It's not going to do anything to the sea, by the way. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny little spot. But they're ripping the hell and they're excavating, boom, boom. They're building a military base right in the middle of the South China Sea with us. And you know how long it took them when they decided to do it? It took them about 2 hours to mobilize. I jokingly said to a friend of mine from China, "How long did it take you to get your environmental impact statement approved?" He says, No, we don't do that. We just start to work, It's the ocean. It's the ocean. So anyway, so they're doing it. And we don't do things like that, but I know how to get things done. So we're going to build a wall. We're going to have great, great borders. We are going to protect our Second Amendment. Remember this. Your Second Amendment, remember. Your Second Amendment is under siege. It's under siege. I mean, they're talking now about bullets. The guns are tough. We'll restrict bullets. We'll restrict magazines. We'll do all these things. Your Second Amendment. Now, a lot of things have changed. So on June 16th, I announced, I was very tough on the borders. I took a lot of heat. A tremendous Rush Limbaugh said, "Boy, is he taking incoming." It was the first time I heard that word applied to those people, right? The press. But I did. But everybody is talking, and now they're all saying they're coming back, and now they're all saying, now they all can't get tough enough on immigration. They don't even know what it means, okay? They don't even know. Then I see Kate killed in San Francisco, and Jamil killed in Los Angeles, and other people killed. The wonderful woman, a 65-year-old woman who is a veteran, just horrible, raped, sodomized, and killed in Los Angeles, in California, by an illegal immigrant. And many, many more. These are 3 instances, but they're 3 because I know them so well. I just think it's horrible what's happening. So we're going to stop that stuff. We're not going to have that stuff. We're not going to be babies anymore. People are coming into this country who shouldn't be here. They're dangerous, and it's bad for the economy, and lots of other things. We're going to have a country again. We're going to have a country with strong borders. We're going to have a country with great trade agreements. We're going to have a country with a powerful military that hopefully we won't have to use because it's going to be so powerful. And remember, I'm the one who didn't want to go into Iraq. People say, "Oh, his tone, he's very tough." I'm the one that didn't want to go in. You have to know where to go in and when to go in. We shouldn't have ever done it. Saddam Hussein, whether you like him or not, I don't like him, but bad guy, but he used to kill terrorists. No terrorist could. Now it's Harvard of terror. You go to Iraq, Harvard of terror. You go to these places where he used to kill terrorists. You couldn't be a terrorist. You would be killed instantaneously if you were a terrorist in Iraq. And now it's like going to Harvard if you're studying terrorism, okay? It is a disaster. The world has become more dangerous than ever before. They're looking at nukes. They're looking at things. It's getting worse and worse. You need a real leader. We don't have real leaders. We have a man that doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He doesn't even... It's true. We have a man, radical Islamic terrorism. Doesn't even want to talk about it. When the 14 people were killed in California recently by... these two married couple, they talk about, the married couple, some married couple, right? Radicalized, totally radicalized. Probably he got radicalized by her later, who knows? But they killed 14 people. They gave them wedding parties. I mean, they were friends of theirs, and they killed them. And more to come because there are people badly, badly injured. And when you look at Paris, 130 people killed, many people in really bad shape in the hospitals. You're going to have a lot more and destroyed lives. 130 people. If those people, because Paris, I don't know if you know this, in the world, Paris has one of the toughest gun laws in the world. You can't have a gun. You can't have a gun. And, except the bad guys can have a gun, right? But the good guys can't. But in Paris and in France, you have the toughest gun laws. You can't have a gun. So these guys walk in, these thugs, and they walk in and they boom, boom. They could have stood there longer. Boom. Not one bullet. If a few of you people were in that room and you had guns wrapped to your ankle or wrapped to your waist and the bullets are going in the opposite direction, you got yourself a whole different deal. You got yourself a whole different deal. Amazing. But you're under siege. And I'll tell you what else is under siege. I said, you know, I had such great endorsements. Sheriff Joe from Arizona. Hey, he's our guy. I said, when Sheriff Joe, you know, now they're trying to show I'm just as tough as Trump on you know, illegal immigration. And all I say is, oh, Sheriff Joe just endorsed. When Sheriff Joe endorses you, you've got to be tough on immigration, believe me. But Jerry Falwell Jr. just endorsed us, which is such an amazing endorsement. Sarah Palin, who's incredible, right? Just endorsing. We have such incredible endorsements, and we have so many coming, but we have such incredible endorsements. And then, as I told you, the great business leaders, so many are endorsing us, including Carl Icahn. I don't even talk about the politicians. Honestly, I don't care so much about politicians, and I'm so tired of politicians. I know, I don't care. I don't care. All talk, no action. They'll never get you there, folks. So just a couple of minutes more on a subject that's interesting. I'm running against people that are fine. Everything's fine. It's all, you know, talk. The debaters. It's all talk. And, you know, a guy like Ted Cruz. And he's fine. He was very nice to me. Remember, all the time, very nice. They said he was going in the wake, my wake. Very, very nice. Everything perfect. And I said, when's he going to get nasty? Because nobody likes the guy. Nobody. I liked him because he never said anything bad. I could say anything. He said, I agree with Donald Trump. I said, man, is this guy, am I ever going to be able to attack this guy? Finally, in the last debate, the one before this, the one that was much more interesting, by the way, because I was in it, right? You know, and then everybody said I won, you know. But well, the polls have said I won all the debates. I don't know if I won all the debates, but I've done well. I've never debated. I'm a job producer. I'll be the greatest jobs producer that God ever created. I'm telling you. And by the way, for this community, I am a huge buyer of John Deere tractors, okay? So, you know, that's it. And they make a great product. Many, 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 many millions of dollars. And, you know, they do make a great product. But Ted has a couple of things. Number one, he was born in Canada, okay? I think that's a problem, all right? I think it's a problem. Now, maybe it'll turn out not to be. Maybe it'll turn out to be. I think it's a problem. In the meantime, constitutional lawyers have now come and say he can't run for president. Because if he gets elected, he's not going to be able to serve. The Democrats are going to sue him if he got the nomination. They're going to sue Ted Cruz. So what the hell are we doing? What are we, you want to have a cloud over you? It's called like a cloud of title. If you buy a piece of land and you have sort of a bad title, you got a cloud. It's called a cloud. He's got a cloud. You don't know that he can even take office. You don't know that he can run. So maybe he can, maybe he can't. Lawrence Tribe of Harvard, a great constitutional lawyer, said it's unsettled law. But many people have come in much stronger than that. Many great lawyers have said, no, it is settled law. He cannot run because he was born there. He was a citizen until 14 or 15 months ago. He was a citizen of Canada. I called him an anchor baby the other day, right? No, he was a citizen of Canada until 14, 15 months ago, joint with the United States. And he lived there for a long period of time. So I'm saying, what are we doing here? It's going to be tough enough. It's going to be, because structurally it's tougher for the Republicans. It is tougher. So what are we going to do? Have a candidate that maybe can't run? Or he's going to be under litigation during the course of his, you know, campaign? So that's a problem. And another problem, in his personal financial disclosure statement, he didn't mention that he borrowed a lot of money at extraordinarily low rates. I'll guarantee I could sign everybody in this room to those rates. From Goldman Sachs, Wall Street, and from Citibank, Wall Street. But he didn't put it down. And he got caught. And now he's having a hard time because he's got to explain to people that, you know, okay, because, you know, he wants to be Robin Hood. He's going to protect you from big bad Wall Street. And I don't do business with Wall Street. He says, I don't do business with Wall Street. It's not the way it works. I mean, he did business and he borrowed money at a very low rate from Goldman Sachs, from Citibank, and who the hell knows who else, but he didn't disclose it. That's a big problem. Let me ask you something. Which is a bigger problem, the Wall Street or the anchor baby? What do you think? Do you think Wall Street? Well, I'd be curious, because a poll came out and said Wall Street's a bigger problem than Canada, that he was born in Canada. I would have said Canada is a bigger problem, personally. You know, he didn't disclose it, so I guess he'll change his disclosures and things. Okay, just out of curiosity, ready? I'm going to go Wall Street first, I'm going to go Canada second, all right? Which is a bigger problem, Wall Street? Canada. Yeah, I'm telling you, the poll has it wrong. I said there's no way. The poll, it was, done recently, the poll said it was the opposite way. I just think the Canada thing is a very big problem. I think it's a very big problem for all of us. So, yeah, it's a waste of time, right? And you want Trump anyway, so what the hell are we kidding for, right? So, look, I'll tell you what. The people here are amazing. We have to remember DonaldJTrump.com for the few people that don't know. We have to go and we have to win. We have to have a mandate. We're going to change the country around. We're going to go back to sanity. We're going to make great deals again. We're going to win so much. We're going to make great deals. We're going to make deals on trade. We're going to make deals with military. We're going to build up our military. We're going to take care of our vets who are treated horribly. But they are obviously a vet. Are you a vet? You know what I'm talking about. No, the vets are not treated. You have illegal immigrants that are treated better than our vets in many cases. So we're going to take care of all of these things. And we're going to use common sense, and we're going to be smart. We're going to be rich again as a country. I told this story before. A woman came up to me, a beautiful woman, 64, 65 years old. She said, Mr. Trump, I think you're wonderful, but, you're a little bit tough to be president. I said, what's wrong? Do we really? I said, people like me. Believe me, I have great relationships. He said, but one thing you say I don't like. What? You say you're going to make the country rich again. And that doesn't sound right. In other words, it's not politically, it doesn't sound. We're not supposed to. I said, here's the problem. We can't be great again unless we're rich again. Right now, we're a debtor nation. We owe $19 trillion. The stupid deal that they made, your politicians that you sent to Washington, the deal that they made 2 weeks ago, did you ever see a deal like this? That's going to add another $2 trillion. We're going to be $21 trillion. We have to bring sanity back to our country. We have to make our country rich again. We have to make our country strong again. And once we do that, and it's going to go fast, folks, it's going to go fast. I saw some of the politicians, they leave that 25 years. Trust me, it's going to go very quickly. It'll go quickly. And we're going to have a better country. We're going to have a better country. I came in on a beautiful plane, and I landed. I said, isn't that crazy? They just spent $3 billion on Air Force One. Did you know that? They bought a new Air Force One. And they should, because the other one's very old, and it's time. Sometime. But you don't have to spend $3 billion. Do you think I can make a better deal than that, right? I think so. I'd call Boeing. I'd say, Boeing, we love you. You know what? Do it as a contribution to our country. Make a contribution. Price, right? To put it mildly. So here's the story. We're going to win again. We're going to win a lot. We're going to win a trade. We're going to win with hopefully we're not going to have to. We need strength in our military, and it's actually, in my way, it's the cheapest thing we can do because nobody's going to mess with us, folks. Nobody's going to mess with us, and we can't let them mess with us. So just in a nutshell, I really appreciate you being here. This is a pretty nice day, though, I have to tell you, outside. But we're going to win again, and we're going to make America great again. Great again. And so important. So the first is coming up. Iowa has not won in 16 years. I'm going to win. I'm leading every single poll nationally. I'm leading every single poll of the states. This is the only one that's close. The last one was only 5 points. That's the closest I am. Wouldn't that be terrible if I lost in Iowa, won everywhere else? And I don't know, I'd be very angry, but only for a day. I still love you. But here's the thing. on February 1st, you got to get out and caucus. You got to do it. We got to do it. We have to go out. We have to caucus. You have to give, the bigger we can win by, the bigger the mandate, the more we can do. And I promise you, you will be so proud and you will be so happy that you went out and you did it. We're going to make our country, also, we're going to make it sane. We're going to bring sanity and we're going to be strength. We're going to be so good. You're going to love me as president and I love you anyway. So get out and vote. Get out and caucus. And don't stay back. I don't care. You're feeling horribly. You have 104 temperature. The doctor says you cannot leave. It'll be the end of you if you leave bed. You cannot leave. You will not be able to make it. Get out of bed and caucus. Okay? I love you. I love you. Thank you, man.